So now I would like to talk a little bit about the point-by-point scoring. The kids are not going to know this is happening. In fact, no one's really going to know this is happening until you get your reports this summer. And then you're going to say, oh, these look different. So I want to give you a bit of a tour of why this is happening. So I'm going to take you back to 2013. This is question ABBC4. So we have this lovely graph with some areas labeled and so on. But in part D, the students are given this function g, which is f of x quantity cubed. And they know that f of 3 is -5/2. So they're asked to find the slope of the line tangent to the graph at 3. So we are looking at a chain rule situation here. So now if we take a look at what the scoring guideline gives us, this is what we see. And we say, all right, well, getting g prime, that's 2 points, and getting the answer is 1 point. Okay, and I can see what we want. But back in 2013, if I was a teacher that didn't go to the AP reading and I looked at that, I would be really confused. I would look at these 2 points and say, well, okay, that's great, but how do you get 1 point? How do you get 0 points? What kind of errors get you to these different levels of accuracy, right? And there were no bullets to explain it to us. There was nothing. This is all we knew. So when we looked at an AP exam back in 2013, there was a lot of ambiguity, probably a lot of question marks on our part because we just didn't know. When it's a 2-point question, what gets the point and what doesn't? So fast forward to 2023. So now we have question AB5 from last year. And this question also asked them to use the chain rule. It didn't ask them, they had to know that. But they were given a function h of x, which was f of g, and they were asked to find h prime of 7. So again, very similar to the 2013 question, they had to use the chain rule, and then they had to find an answer. So getting the chain rule this time was 1 point. So it's a little more clear for us now to say, well, okay, if they do their chain rule correctly, they get a point. And if they get to the answer of 12, they get a second point. And in fact, we got even more information than that. If we go to the next slide, we had scoring notes in 2023. So things were much better because if we were wondering what will get the point and what won't, all of these bullets would tell us that. So that's really great. So we've come a long way in those 10 years from just looking at some general notes and trying to guess to actually finding out this is what happened at the AP reading. This is what went on. This is what gets points and this is what doesn't. But the thing that is still the issue is, what about our kids, right? When we get our reports in the summer saying, here's how our students did on AB5, if our average is a 7 out of 9, how do we know where they didn't do well? I mean, was it that they couldn't do basic arithmetic for that second point? Was that it? Or did they not know the chain rule? Or maybe it was in a completely different part of the problem. We have no idea, right? And so when we're trying to improve our teaching from year to year, having an average of 7 out of 9 just means, well, they did well, but I don't know where they didn't do well. So this year at the AP reading, we will not be submitting a score like 7 out of 9. Instead, what we will submit is what you see in that third bullet point. Every single point will either be awarded or not awarded. So we will be clicking through every single point. So you might get a 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And that will tell us, exactly what points were earned and what weren't. So when you get your reports this summer, or your IPRs, you will be able to see how many of your kids earned the first point, how many earned the second point, how many earned the third. And so you will see if their issues were they didn't include their units, or if it was something bigger, like they really didn't understand how to do the chain rule or how to use the fundamental theorem. That's going to be so powerful for us figuring out what we need to do in our classrooms next year. So it's going to be a lot of clicking for us at the AP reading, but I think it's going to well pay off for all of us when we get those results.